How are y'all doing?
All right. Watch pole.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is the. Let me start off. Let me introduce myself. My name's Matt. Um, Member of FSBC for probably about 20 years now. My wife and I have gone there since. Well, she got me going back when we were in high school. So, I'm going to talk to you guys just to basically get your minds, your brain juices going on kind of what some things are about being prepared. There's not enough time in the day to even scratch the surface of being a prepper or being prepared for everything. I'm not going to go into zombies or anything crazy like that. We're going to talk about some practical stuff. Things that go on that I myself have thought, hey, we're probably pretty likely to see with where we live in the time period that we're in also. So where I got started off with prepping and being prepared was, one, I had an uncle who was a Y2K prepper. You guys remember all that back in the 90s. So he really kind of got my juices flowing towards being prepared. And then I took it to when I started having a family of that first tornado, that sirens going off of, hey, what do we need to do? I now have responsibilities and what do I need to do to take care of my family? So tornadoes and snowstorms and things like that are kind of your isolated events. Then you can go up to your longer things of COVID being a little bit longer, and now we can look at social collapse of being even longer yet, of things that we need to be prepared for. And now going that far, now we're looking into homesteading. So if any of you are interested in looking at what it's like to get more into your homesteading and being self-reliant, that's really pushing it out farther. And something really cool to think about. But let's just start small and look at more of kind of your isolated factors of, hey, how can we be prepared for things as small as tornadoes, cars breaking down on the side of the road, being without water because the city water main broke and you have no water flow to your house, and things like that. So one thing my wife and I came up with tornadoes and having kids and everything was, if I was to be knocked out unconscious or being separated from my kids or something like that, and my kids were younger at the time, how can I make sure they are getting really well, the best care possible? So one, we started doing high visible shirts. I have one for each of my kids. And then on those shirts, we started putting down all kinds of information for any kind of first responder that might find them, 2 or 3 houses down, picks them up out of, underneath a house, whatever the case might be, that they will get the best care possible. So being a first responder, I knew what kind of information I would be looking for if I came across a victim. One, I want to know mainly any known allergies. Hospital preference, contact information for guardians, not only mom and dad, maybe if they are also in a wreckage or inside the incident, they might not be able to take a phone call, or their phones might not be working. So we also have distant grandparents that won't be necessarily part of the same tornado factor or whatever. They're farther away, so they might not be affected, so they might still be able to answer their phone. So I have grandparents' phone numbers on here, who then can give more information. But mainly just the basics, allergies and hospital preference. Then the hospital's going to then have all the medical information. We're just worried about life right now, and then reconnection with family, right? So this is something that we came up with. So all of my kids have high visible shirts that, if we ever did have to go down into the basement for a tornado, they each put on their shirt, along with protection. I went to garage sales, bought bicycle helmets, and I have one for each of my kids and my wife, and then I have an old hard hat that I used to wear for work. And we're going to put some head protection on, along with some safety glasses, work gloves, hand tools, rope, food, water, food for the dogs. You got to feed them too, so that way you're not feeding them your human food, which is more expensive and more viable for you, right? So we aren't really a medication dependent family, so we don't have to worry about medications down there. But you know, after a tornado or a disaster like that hits your neighborhood, you're going to have debris all over the place, boards, nails, sticks, branches, you know, all kinds of stuff. So protecting yourself from not only during the event but afterwards. Most of the time tornadoes happen in the middle of the night, right? Usually we're not fully dressed, shoes and everything ready to go in the middle of the night. So we have our old shoes, an old pair of pants, clothes and everything, diapers for the baby, everything that we would need if we ran down the house, down into the basement in our skivvies or our nightgown or whatever. We will then be able to get dressed and be okay for, you know, a day or two out of what might be left in the basement if we took a direct hit. And then also, I like to keep my camping and backpacking stuff down there. So honestly, I think if a tornado hit my house, we would be good for at least a week. You know, we'd have all of my tents and sleeping bags and all that stuff right there in our tornado shelter. So you know, the disaster happens. Now we've got clothes, boots, protective gear. Another thing I did was I bought a big old 6-pack of these walkie-talkies. My in-laws who live in the same town as I do, and then both of my neighbors, we all have a walkie-talkie, and we're all on the same channel. That way I can reach out to my neighbors and my loved ones, and in case if one of us didn't grab cell phones or cell phones were dead or whatever it is, we have communication inside of our shelter. That we can reach out and check on them, and they can check on us, and we can help each other out. So having some kind of alternative communication outside of wherever you might be is very important, because that structure you might be in might have come down on top of you, and you might not be able to get out. Now you're at the mercy of first responders coming in, going structure to structure, looking for survivors, right? If you can get some kind of information out, that's a good thing to have. So going past your isolated incidences like tornadoes and stuff like that, just being prepared. Like I said, sometime your municipality might shut your water down. Last summer, our town had a bad spurt of water mains breaking, and they shut our water down probably 5 or 6 days within two-week period. And so we started really storing water, just because we didn't know when the next time we were going to lose water was going to be. So we never used this guy, but we definitely had it. It holds up to 65 gallons, but it goes inside your bathtub, and it basically takes your grungy old nasty bathtub and uses it as a structure, and then this keeps your water clean just by putting it inside of a bag. So as long as you had water supply or water whatever, you know, the water in the water tower is still working or your water line's still open, you could fill this bag up, use your bathtub as a structure, and hold water up to 65 gallons. And then, can anybody, a little quick question, anybody else tell me where some other sources of water in your house would be? Sink? Well, unless you hold water in your sink. I'm looking for sources of water if they shut the water off.
If it's summertime, you got, like, upstairs, we have a pipe that comes down that drips the condensation of the air conditioner into a big bucket.
Yeah. I'm thinking like your water heaters. So your water heaters, there's at least 65 to 80 gallons of water in there. Another smaller place would be the toilet tank. The tank on your toilet is clean water. It's potable. It's not, dirty or anything. So that's at least 2 gallons of water there. So in the case of the city shutting water down, or even water disruption of shit hitting the fan, SHTF, what you're going to want to do is go down and shut your water supply off. Because I don't know if you guys have ever had the water shut off and you go and turn the faucet on and heard no water come out but bubbling. What's happening there is you are at a higher elevation than somebody else, and water is actually leaving your house, going into the water mains, and you're losing that resource. So as long as you can isolate that water inside of your house by shutting the main water off, you've now trapped all the water in your piping and for you to use. And somebody down at a lower elevation is not going to get that water, right? So that's one of the main things to do during a larger incident. I'm not talking just tornadoes or whatever, but be thinking of this kind of stuff that, is if an SHTF thing happens, you're going to want to turn that water off. That way it holds all that water and all your piping, your water heater, and everywhere else. It'll actually stay in your house for you to utilize. Because any kind of long-term event, if you don't have like 5-gallon jugs or water storage, every little bit of water is pretty critical. Or you can do something like this too and get an extra 65 gallons. They say at a minimum, you need to have at least 1 gallon of water per day per person. So that 1 gallon accounts for hygiene, drinking, food, and those hygiene, water, and cooking and drinking. So that's not taking a bath. That's not doing all the unnecessary stuff. That's just what you need for your body to run. And during a summer, during the summertime, you obviously need more water. But at a minimum, you need a gallon of water per person. So when it comes to getting more water, there's a couple things that you need to think about. So there's a difference between water purification and water filtration. So water filtration, like this little guy, this is a backpacking water filter. You drop one line into the dirty water, and then you put another line on here and into your bottle or into a water container, and you can actually pump water and filter it. This isn't going to take out the taste, but it will remove all the viruses, parasites, bugs, things that are going to make you sick. But if there's my daughter and I learned this hiking around Clinton Lake this last spring, was the water was running, nice clear water, but there was algae and stuff in the bottom, and we filtered it so it was safe, but it tasted like algae. It was horrible. So to get rid of the taste of any kind of heavily chlorinated waters or any kind of natural tastes or anything like that, filtration is not going to remove that, but purification will. So with purification, your Brita pitchers, your Pures, this is a Berkey water filter. So this membrane here is actually activated charcoal, and it's going to take out all the flavors and aromas out of the water to make it be straight water. Doing all this also removes all the minerals and the nutrients that water, your body actually needs with water, but it also removes all the other stuff that you don't want in water too. So you can do something big like this with a Berkey water filter. They're really big metal water filters. Or you can do something as small as this little guy. This is a reusable life survivor filter. It's got a activated charcoal disc in here and then a filter also. So this does both, but it's basically just a individual use. So I can either put a hose on it, I can attach this to fill up this with lake water and screw this, maybe not a water bottle, but a pop bottle. Yeah, a pop bottle. I can screw this onto a 2-liter bottle or whatever and drink on the go like this with dirty water in here. It'll filter it, purify it, and make it taste good. So you can do something like this for individual use, or you can go larger and do like a household. You can even make these out of this filter. You can buy these filters and put them on like a 5-gallon bucket and create a 5-gallon bucket waterfall by doing something like that. When it comes to like your electronics, I like solar. So I have the large thing down there, which actually I tested. It runs a box fan for about 10 hours. It ran a buddy of mine, his CPAP machine. We didn't use it all 3 or 4 days, but I think it'll run his machine like almost 4 days, 4 nights. And so I like to go solar. So this actually has a battery pack on it. To where it actually stores power, but then I can also collect solar with this.
That's from the sun.
Yep. And then I can also put this solar panel out, plug my phone charger in here into this USB thing, and I can charge my phone. It doesn't have a battery, so once I close it up, I'm not collecting power like I would be with this battery pack. But I can put this out if I'm like backpacking or moving or where I just lay it out in the sun, and I can charge all of my electronics that are rechargeable. So keeping your phones charged, your watches, all of your electronics to help you get through the day or whatnot. This is also a radio. It's a multi-function radio. Has a light, AM, FM, and wideband. Has a SOS thing. It also has a solar panel on it, so it'll charge itself. Has a little light on it. As soon as you open that up, it turns on. But then I can also crank wind it, charge it by just cranking it if I need to, or I can plug it into the wall and charge it just like my phone. So I found this thing on Amazon. Wasn't too terribly expensive, but it's kind of a all-in-one emergency radio and everything.
Where do you get the solar panel?
Amazon. So that's a Jackery brand. Those things run, that's a 500 watt. I didn't buy it, but they're now running about $2 a watt. So that right now is about $1,000. When I bought it, it didn't explode the market. And then this little guy I bought, I do a lot of backpacking and stuff. So I bought this to just clip onto my backpack and keep my electronics charged. This also I bought online. So
How long does it take to charge it?
this has an output of 3 amps. So whatever, which is about your normal wall outlet. So if you think like for my phone, it takes what 2 to 3 hours to charge my phone from being dead. So it'd take about 2 to 3 hours to charge. And then if you see my phone is actually plugged in right here on the tripod, I have 2 other little battery packs because I'm videotaping all my sessions, and I would kill my phone running video all day long. I'd kill it like 3 times over. So I have 2 little battery packs on my phone that I keep my phone charged at. So I can then also take, and those aren't sold, the 2 battery packs on there aren't solar, so I can actually take this and charge the battery packs just like I would charge my phone, and then I have that backup battery. So, yep. And then, where am I going? Oh, so this is all kind of stuff about if you all are familiar with the terms bugging in, bugging out. Bugging in is pretty much what you're going to want to plan on doing, unless it's something, we don't really have anything that I feel like we would need to bug out. Like Colorado, California, they have wildfires. So those people have to grab everything they want and hit the road because there's huge fires coming out their houses, burning their houses down. So there they have no choice of bugging in. They almost have to bug out. But when you bug out, you basically become a refugee, right? If you want to think of wars and being refugees and just being on the go, not having a place to be. It's not really always ideal because then you basically just have the stuff that's on your back or in your vehicle or whatever, whatever you have, or family members, or wherever you're going, you're at the mercy of that. So bugging in is kind of always the way you want to plan on it, unless you can't, and then you have to bug out. So with what I do is, since I'm always working anywhere from 30 to 40 miles away from my home, especially with this uptick of the war over in Ukraine and Russia, Russia and all the nuclear threats and all that good stuff, I don't think, and I'm not a specialist in all that, but I don't think we'd ever have a nuclear bomb dropped, on our grounds. But that doesn't mean that they couldn't take a nuclear warhead and detonate it out in the atmosphere, causing a EMP, electromagnetic pulse, and disrupting all of our electronics, which means all of our vehicles are going to be dead, and we're going to be at the mercy of wherever you're at. No phone, no technology, no newer vehicles. Your older carburetor,
79 or earlier.
Yep. Vehicles will still run because they don't require computer chips. Or like that golf cart, that's the first thing I'm grabbing. And so something you want to have in your vehicle is a get home bag. This is my get home bag. A little bit of stuff in here. I'm not going to really do a lot of the long-term foods. Like, these are freeze-dried meals. These require heating water up and rehydrating these foods. They're really light to carry, but they also take time to prepare to make ready to eat. Unlike this make ready to eat MRE, you can basically eat this right out of this bag. You don't have to rehydrate, but they're also kind of heavy. So they've got, their pros and cons too. So you got to kind of think of what you're doing, how you're doing it. So with my get home bag, this is my food pouch, and I'm going to pack stuff like beef jerky, Cliff bars, basically just enough protein or substance, because I'm walking home because that's where my family is, and I just need to have something to keep me going. And then in here I also have a backup emergency water filter. This is just a very basic water filter I can stick inside of a pothole, water stream, pond, lake, whatever water source, and I can get a drink of water. And then let's see. So if I do come across a body of water where I can have water, I also carry these water bags. They take up no space, but I can fill these up with water, hang them on the outside of my bag, and carry some water if I need to. Inside this bag I have everything from a compass, just if I get disoriented, I at least know where north is, a headlamp, Bic lighters all over the place, extra sunglasses, toilet paper. These little Kleenex things are awesome. Just in case I have some painkillers, anything that I might need to have ibuprofen for, and then hydration. Oh, here it is. So if I do come across a lake water or river water or whatever, I'm going to be able to filter it, which is going to take all the bugs and the viruses out that would hurt me, but it's not going to taste good, right? So my solution there is I'm going to flavor the water. That way I can make sure I keep drinking it. So I have this liquid IV and some like little lemon flavoring that I can put in that water and make sure I'm drinking it enough to stay hydrated. Along with that, I have emergency blankets, some chem lights, little glow sticks. You can light these up. You can leave them behind. They're disposable. They are visible for quite a ways, so you need to kind of be careful with that, depending on your surrounding. If you're trying to evade and not be seen. I also carry bug spray for the summer, because if if I'm walking home, I'm not going to be walking on the highways. I'm going to be walking in creek banks, creek beds, in the woods, trying to stay out of sight. I don't want people to see me, so I'm going to be down there where all the bugs are. So staying healthy, keeping the bugs away. This is a vacuum seal bag. I have put this, it's not in my bag right now, but it's for the winter time. Wool socks, warm gloves, a hat, and then also a compression bag. And I've been able to compress it down to take up no space at all, so I can keep it in my get home bag, and it doesn't take up as much space as it normally did. Along with a sleeping bag, a real light sleeping bag, just in case if I've got to just get take a little nap or catch up on my sleep real quick, I can do that. Along with the sleeping bag, I carry 2 construction trash bags. These are very versatile. You can turn these into ponchos, which then I also do carry a Frog Pond poncho. But you can turn these into shelter, cut them open, use a little bit of rope. I carry some 550 cord wherever it went. Carry some 550 cord, and I can make a shelter real quick if I need to get out of the rain. If I come across some good stuff, I can use these as a bag. If I want to, take some stuff with me, and I can use them as bags or just whatever I might need them for. I got sanitation wipes, gloves for anything, work gloves so I don't hurt my hands, and then some fire starters. So if you guys know those fire logs, they're to like start a fire. They're basically sawdust and some other stuff. I've broken them up into little pieces, and this piece will actually burn for a good 3 minutes. And if I come across water and my filtration system's not working right, I can take this piece and put it under here and boil water, and kill any kind of viruses or anything in the water if my filter's not working. So this is my backup system of cleaning water for drinking or anything.
Lint from your dryer is good too to start a fire.
Yes. Yep. I have some things kind of like that. They're store bought, but they're like just a cotton thing dipped in wax, and these things burn forever. But yes, lint and Vaseline, or cotton balls and Vaseline. As long as you have a container that will hold it, the Vaseline in a hot environment actually makes a little bit of a mess. So if you've got some kind of good container that'll seal and not let it leak out, yes, those are amazing fire starters. And they start like that, and they burn really well. Also I carry a little tote in here. It's got another little flashlight multi-tool chapstick, which also helps with fire starting. So if I do have some natural fibers, I can use some chapstick and mix that in with it, and that'll extend the burn period. And then another lighter. You can't have too many lighters or sources of fire.
Even I heard that a tree limb that's closer to the ground, a fat one, you can get that sawed off. That will burn for a real long time too.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can find a dead tree, and if it's a wet environment, find a dead tree standing, and then peel the bark off and get to the inner core of that wood. So to do something like that, I also carry a little real light saw. So if I need to make a quick shelter, if I'm hiding from, if I need to get some sleep and I don't want anybody knowing where I'm at, I can cut a couple branches, lay it against a downed tree, tuck up in there, use the trash bags, and cover up with a trash bag and then branches, and kind of blend myself in and get some sleep. So so now that we've had the disaster, we've finally gotten home. We are now kind of looking at, maybe doing a little bit longer storage of food and supplies. One thing to kind of start stocking up with that is, just buy 1 or 2 extra cans of food every time you go to the grocery store, and just start slow. You can do this too fast. I had a friend of mine after COVID just when exploded. I felt bad because I got him into prepping and exploded. Now all of his food is at that expiration, and now he's giving it away. So he definitely bought more than he could consume in a period of time, and now he's giving it away to people. So you can get into this too fast if you do it wrong. If you're buying, cheap food or junk food like he was doing, like bags of Gardettos and snacks and that kind of stuff, they all started getting stale. But if you go more into this route, these foods are also freeze dried. They do have a shelf life depending on their fat content. So the higher fat content does not have a shelf life longer or as long as something that would not have as much fat content. But even this cheese that does have a high fat content, it's good until June of 32. So you can mix this up with a little bit of powdered milk and water and elbow macaroni and have some really good mac and cheese. So back to my uncle who was a Y2K prepper, I am still eating macaroni that was stored in a 5-gallon bucket from 1998. So, and I'm still trying to eat that stuff. But it still tastes just fine because, elbow macaroni being pasta, that stuff lasts for quite a while. So I don't know if you guys have taken Cindy's freeze drying class. So about the same time she bought her freeze dryer, my sister and I bought one, and now I make all of my own backpacking meals. So these are basically freeze-dried MREs like you would find at Academy, Walmart, or anything like that. So this one is egg, mushroom, spinach, onion, and bacon scrambled. So the fun thing about freeze dryers is it's your very own cooking, and you can make it the way you want it. And just this takes 1 cup of water, which would require me to boil 1 cup of water. So I've got my camp cup here in water that I can filter out of a stream, and now for just a few ounces of packing weight, I've got an amazing breakfast.
And how long was the due date on that? Like expiration
Well,
date?
Because I made it, I'm gonna put 20 years on it. I don't know exactly because it's not actually marketed.
Sure, but she said about 25 years for her.
Right, exactly. So that's what this is. This one's enchilada hamburger casserole. And then this one is oatmeal peach and honey with vanilla protein powder. So you just get protein powder, throw it in there, and that, you've got a real nice meal there.
Now, where did you get those silver bags like that you say? Did you order that online?
Yes, these are they're a Wallaby brand.
Okay.
On Amazon.
Okay.
And these are MRE pouches. So these have a 25-year shelf life, we'll say. Now, because these are kind of expensive, I'm getting ready to do a 4-day bike trip with my daughter. We're going to go bike 90-some miles down the Flint Hills Trail from Osawatomie to Council Grove. I made some little immediate use. These are freeze-dried strawberries, oatmeal, and then freeze-dried Greek yogurt. So all I need to do is put a cup of water in my little can or cup here, and now I've got a real nice breakfast that's high in protein and really good. I got strawberries, and then I also did a peach.
So
So
you
I'm-
prefer those blacks over the silver ones?
Well, so I didn't put, so inside of these ones, you have to put a oxygen absorber, and that's what gives you that shelf life. I didn't waste any oxygen absorbers on these because I'm going to be eating these in a week or two. So I made like 10 or 12 of these ones just to eat right away. And that's why they're not in a Mylar bag, they're just in a vacuum seal bag.
Got it.
So, yeah, with the freeze dryer, you can do vast things of eating things right away. That's complete. These are strawberries, like fresh strawberries that we freeze dried, and we're going to eat them right now, and they're going to taste amazing. Same with the peaches; they're fresh, local peaches, and they're completely shelf stable. At least for a good little bit.
What's
they
in
don't-
there with the peaches? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oatmeal, Greek yogurt, and a little bit of sugar.
Okay. Okay.
So, yep. So then going with food preservation, you can go, I'm kind of playing with this process, but I got this idea from my uncle when he was doing the Y2K prepping. He would take a 5-gallon bucket, he would take a chunk of dry ice and throw dry ice in the bottom, and then fill up that bucket with everything from popcorn to beans, rice, potatoes, like instant potatoes, which are basically freeze-dried potatoes, to hard candies. He would put that dry ice in there, and dry ice puts off carbon dioxide, which is heavier than air, but all that would displace the oxygen, push the oxygen out of the bucket, and then he would put the dry ice in there, put the food in there, and then as soon as all that, the evaporation that you see off dry ice, as soon as he would see that coming out of the bucket, he would seal it up with a lid. The lids have to have a gasket on them, but that basically seal or preserve the food inside. I didn't want to mess with the dry ice when I did my own. We do 1 or 2 buckets every once in a while. Kind of like I was saying, you buy 1 or 2 extra cans of food, whenever you go grocery shopping. It's a slow process. So we use what are called oxygen absorbers, like I was talking in these bags. You can buy those online, and there's a guy on YouTube called Canadian Prepper. He does a whole video of how to store food in a 5-gallon bucket. My wife makes bread. She's been making bread for quite a while. So if a SHTF event happens, we figure bread is going to be one of our bartering items. And so we have stored flour, not only just white all-purpose flour, but we've started also storing whole berries, flour berries, hard white wheat. And then in order to do that, we'll have to grind them up. But your whole wheat berries actually have a lot of the fats and the nutrients in them, whereas your white flour has been all stripped of all those nutrients and everything. So we've also started storing whole wheat berries because those are healthier for you. But then you have to grind them yourself. We started with this cheap grinder, and we haven't moved to that part, but she's kind of moving into more of the homesteading stuff, being self-reliant and stuff like that. So we want to get her a really nice wheat grinder or a grain grinder to do that. We just haven't bit that bullet yet. But you can take flour, like all-purpose flour, and put about they make the same kind of Mylar bags as this to go inside of a 5-gallon bucket. You can put about 30 pounds of flour in it and put, I think it was like 400 or 500 cc's of oxygen absorber. They all come in different sizes depending on where you buy them from. And then seal that push all the air out of it and seal that up with a hair straightener, which is like an iron. And basically it does the same kind of seal as a like your vacuum sealer does that heat strip, but your hair straightener does the same thing. and then that would basically preserve that flour for 30 years, as long as nothing happened to the Mylar bag is what's going to actually preserve the flour, but then the bucket protects the Mylar bag. I did a thing. It's kind of oh no, this is it. I'm sorry. This is the rice. So this right here is 25 pounds of rice. That is good for at least 30 years.
And it has an oxygen absorbent in there.
Yep.
How many do you have to use for something that size?
Do what?
How many absorbers do you have to use for that big of a bucket as opposed to that little silver thing?
Right. I think there's 3 with rice because it's kind of a denser food and then flour.
Yeah.
I think it only took 300 cc's. That information's available online.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
And the Canadian prepper.
Yep.
is the guy.
Yep.
Okay.
This bucket here, I wanted something to where it would be preserved, and if I had to bug out, I could grab this bucket and it will feed my family for a week. It has everything from food to toilet paper, because then I'm going to repurpose this 5-gallon bucket. This is going to then be our bathroom. So I can put, I have a small roll of small trash bags, where then when, after the food goes through you got to do something with that. And so then I can put those small trash bags in the bucket, use the bucket as my bathroom for my family or whatever, and then take that trash bag, seal it up, and dispose of that. So whether we were bugging into our house for whatever reason to being in the vehicle, I can grab this bucket, throw it in my truck, and I can feed my family with all this food. And it has everything from three cans of chicken breast, 15 bean soup, red beans, pasta, long grain rice, potato flakes, rice meal, pasta meals. They're those little bags of like stovetop pasta and rice, like cheddar broccoli rice and that kind of stuff. Oats, non-fat dry milk, so powdered milk. So all we need to do is just have water. Hard candy for the kids, or myself. Chicken bouillon cubes, roasted garlic and herb seasoning. So in order to, with kids, and my kids aren't picky, but in order to make sure they eat and stay healthy, I want to make sure they're wanting to eat. If you give them, bland pasta, they're not going to eat as much as they probably should. So I'm big on flavorings. I want to make sure my food tastes good and my kids stay healthy and eat a lot. And then ground gravy mix. So I got everything from something for the breakfast and then something for dinner, all in here that can feed my family for a week. Until my boy gets bigger and he takes a lot more food to feed him. So I'm learning that that's getting a lot and a lot more food.
How old is your son now?
6.
Okay.
Yep.
That's the age of my boy, but he eats like a 12-year-old.
Yeah, I know, right?
Already.
Yep.
He's so good.
So yeah, that's basically going from, hey, be prepared and take care of your family for a few hours to, several years. Kind of ran out of time, but Faraday cage. You guys familiar with Faraday cages? So basically, this is a Faraday cage. It's actually a trash can, but I've turned it into a Faraday cage. So with nuclear warheads out in the atmosphere, like I was talking about, that would create what is called an EMP, electromagnetic pulse, and those don't just happen with nukes. They can happen completely natural with solar flares, electrical transformers exploding, and a couple other causes can make an EMP. Which will fry all electronics, from vehicles to phones to watches. So what I have done is you want to have it completely sealed up. So I have aluminum tape here, and then since EMPs are kind of a unstudied phenomenon, I have doubled it up. So now I have a secondary Faraday cage inside my maiden one, and in here I keep my backup ham radio. And then I actually keep this little radio in here also, and then 2 walkie-talkies. So if an EMP happens,
They will protect it.
it will. Yep, or should. should. Like I said, it's kind of an unstudied phenomenon. And then I have inside this can is insulation foam board that basically acts as a electrical insulator to keep this can off of the outer can, and it's all about shielding your electronics from that electromagnetic pulse. So that pulse is then going to come, hit the can, go around it, and not go through it. Well, if any amount of that energy does go through it, hopefully this can will then stop it from getting into my electronics. So this is kind of my own little thought of the Faraday cage. There's many different thought processes on them. Some people say they have to be grounded to the ground. Other people say that just even a wire mesh will act as a Faraday cage. Some people say your vehicle being metal will shield, but it'll still, that energy can still go through the glass and the windshield and stuff like that. So to what extent? So I said, you know what? I'm going to just play it safe. I'm going to double up. So I made one Faraday cage and then I did another one on the inside.
Can you do the same thing with the plastic?
Do what?
Can you do the same thing with plastic?
No, it's got to be metal. It's got to be conductive.
Okay.
And then they also do make Faraday bags. This is a store-bought thing. It's put out by Mission Darkness, but it is a bag. They make all different sizes, big enough for laptops, cell phones, and it's got the metal shielding inside. So I actually keep 2 radios in my truck, so that if an EMP happens and I'm on the road, I can then talk to my wife, who has a radio in this Faraday box at home, and we can communicate. So communication's really big. But sorry, I'm taking up your break time, and sorry. So thank you.
Good. Very interesting.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, how do you spell Faraday?
Somebody asked me that a minute ago.
F-A-R-A-N-D-A-Y? Is it something
Yes,
like that?
yes.
Does that sound right? Okay.
Yep.
R-A-N-D-A-Y.
DAY, yep. Yes, and do your research on those. Like I said, EMPs are kind of a unstudied phenomenon, but and then a lot of people have different for the Faraday cage of the requirements for a proper one. But some people say ground it, some people say it doesn't have to be grounded. So do your research. This is what I think. I'm going with a double insulator, and I think it'll work. So with what I kind of read and watched videos on.
Man, I have a backpack that has that mesh all through the backpack.
Yeah.
And so they have a zipper lining inside of that, but then you can put your electronics in too.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I saw like a backpack, but I was like, you know what? I just need something small, just for a couple radios in my vehicle. But yeah.
Mine, I threw a laptop in it.
Yep. Exactly.
Thanks,
Yep.
Matt.
Hey, you bet.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.